So tonight we're going to be looking at over-under body lock passing. Now, what is over-under body lock passing? It's any time I have a situation where I have one underhook on one side, and generally I find a way to trap the other arm, and I manage to lock my hands, and I use this to guard pass. Now, what is one of the primary benefits of the over-under body locking? Well, one, there's more mass inside the lock, so generally it's a much tighter lock on my opponent, and it makes breathing, especially when they're tired, a lot harder for them. But primarily what I find to be the best benefit for over-under body lock passing, it's once it's time to switch from a body lock to some form of head control, there's no arm to obstruct me, and I can go right to the head. Generally when we do regular body lock passing, the biggest thing is sometimes you have good opponents and they know even if I free my leg, I still don't have true control of the head and shoulders. So yes, I could score my 3 points, but when I make that transition to the head, oftentimes it becomes hard, and then they get away and they recover guard. Okay, so first, let's look at how we can get to an over-under. So, as always, we create waist exposure, we shoot on in, and from here, we get to an initial body lock. Oftentimes, what I'll do from here is I'll start to switch into a tight waist, so I voluntarily unlock my hands, because what everyone does from here is they generally look to get an underhook on me like so. Now, when my partner makes an underhook on my left side, it's so important that I shift my head over his elbow so that I can shut down the effectiveness of his underhook. Now, it's not going to stop it completely, but it makes it hard for Anderson to jack up the underhook like so. Okay, so once I move my head off center, I now lock my hands and I try to pinch my elbow right at his elbow like so. If my head doesn't move over his elbow, he jacks up the underhook, and now I have a hard time doing anything. I get shoulder crunch, etc., etc. So again, I start from a body lock. I unlock my hands and I let him take the bait. I move my head off center and I lock. Now, once I lock, I focus on circling his shoulder down to the floor so that now the arm is pinned with the lock of my hands as well as my body weight. Now, from here, let's take a look at my leg work. From here, I'm just going to use an initial body lock situation where I switch my stance to where my right knee goes right to his tailbone, and I glue his left hook right to his ass. And now from here, I step a leg up. Now, as long as I have my left leg in front of his knee, it's going to be hard for him to trap my right leg in half guard. Go to half guard. It makes it difficult. But the second my leg steps over, that's when we run into dangers of getting stuck in half guard. So you have two solid options from here. Option one is as you go to step over, you shorten your trail leg by bringing it to your butt. And when he goes to fish, he can't find it. Option two is I can use a pummel method where I expose his ankle and now I staple. And now once I staple, I can step over the knee. And as I step over the knee, my head switches sides, and I just back step with my right, and I re-scissor my legs, ending up in side mount. And from here, it's pretty easy for me to switch on over and dominate his head. So again, I start off with any of our setups. I expose his waist. I get to an initial body lock, knees to elbow. From here, I unlock my arm, and I give him an underhook. Or, more often than not, he hits a forward shift. He gets an underhook. Now I move my head over his elbow, relock my hands. Now it's important that I don't drive back. Instead, I circle, 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 getting his shoulder to the floor. Now from here, my starting stance, right knee wedges into his tailbone, left leg steps up. Now when my partner goes to move, it becomes challenging. Option one is shortening the trail leg. As I go to step over, my right leg retracts, and my toes point towards my ass. So from here, I start stepping and shortening. As he tries to find the half guard hook, it becomes difficult. Option two, I step and I use a pummel method where similar, I shorten the trail leg, I staple, so now it's pretty easy to step over. And from here, as my head switches sides, I just scissor my legs and start shelving. And from here, there's no obstruction. I get right to his head, and we're ready to work. Okay? 3, 2, 1. Trapped in half guard, and that's okay. Remember, he has a choice between half guard and half butterfly. First, we'll take a look at half butterfly. Okay, so I shot in, and either he takes my bait, or he hits a forward shift, he digs that underhook. I move my head over the elbow just like before, lock my hands, circle, 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 and now from here I still wedge that left leg to the butt, but now this time I did a bad job either pummeling or shortening my trail leg. So now as I go to step over the knee, I get stuck in a half butterfly. Okay, now it's not the end of the world. Okay, now what I focus on is making sure that I blade my hips towards his butterfly hook like so. Okay, now, ideally in a perfect world, I don't let him free this hook, because if I can keep his butterfly hook, that means his legs are unlocked, and at some point, I'll be able to clear. Okay? Now, we'll go over two options. Option one is the second that half butterfly is in place, I switch my head position and I blade my hips. Now I'm going to begin this action of walking back towards his center, and from here I just start walking my leg up towards my own chest, and now I can either try to backstep, or if he's got a really sticky hook, I just pommel my leg through. And now I scissor my legs, 1, 2, and just like before, I switch back to the head. Now, every so often, when we get stuck here from this over-under, we step over. Before I'm able to switch my base, he immediately starts using the butterfly hook to try to take me over his left shoulder. Try to elevate, and he'll try to elevate. And whenever I feel this start to happen, I immediately start curling my foot to my own butt. Now when he tries to elevate me, it's almost impossible. I believe in wrestling, they call this a Turk, where I pull everything up like so. Now this time, whenever I get this position and I pull everything up, 1, he won't be able to elevate me, but 2, this will allow me to keep head position, and once I feel that initial explosion, go ahead, explode. Once I feel that initial explosion go away, now it allows me to tripod, and this time use my own butterfly hook on his leg. And now as I use my butterfly hook, I staple his leg and I split. Now he has nowhere to go, as Anderson's face will show. He's very uncomfortable. And now watch my right leg. I extend away from the hook, and I scissor my legs just like before, and I get to the pass. Okay, so let's run through that all again. Over, under. I circle, circle, circle. This time, as I go to step over, he puts a half guard leg in. Option 1, before he starts elevating, I'm able to switch my head and blade my hips. I walk, 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 knee to chest, pummel out, pass on through. Option 2 is as I stepped over, he starts immediately looking off balance and elevate. So I just curl my heel to my own butt, and when he goes to move, it's challenging. And now once the explosion's over, I just tripod, foot inside, and I shear his leg down to the floor. And now from here, I backstep and scissor. And now I'm ready to work. All right, let's give that a shot. 3, 2, 1. Okay, now another excellent time that you can use over-under body lock passing is anytime you're in half guard or half butterfly and your opponent gets an underhook on you. This is an excellent time to also use over-under body lock passing. Now there is some slight differences when I over-under on his left side and I pass in this direction. Now generally, anytime you over-under someone, you don't really want to pass away from the underhook or your overhook, I guess, because now he can always use this to jack it up, create back exposure, and try to scramble back up. So generally, when you use this method from half guard or half butterfly, you're either looking to step right into mount or you're looking to pass towards your underhook side. Now, one of my favorite ways to get this is by forcing half butterfly, and from here, I start putting pressure because I know at some point he'll use a cross shoulder frame to start sitting back up and getting to his underhook. Now, there's always going to be a gap, whether he's in half butterfly or half guard, between his armpit and his hip. And this is an excellent time to just shoot this arm inside, nice and deep, and same principles as the previous move. I get my head over his elbow, I just close my elbow down, and now I lock my hands. And from here, I don't drive into him, I pull him to me and now I'm in half guard or half butterfly. Now, same principles will apply. He's going to be wanting to use that butterfly hook to elevate you, so if I ever feel that elevation, I just curl my legs. He tries to go, it's going to be tough to do anything. Now, like I said previously, I don't want to pass to my left now. So the first thing I focus on is once I flatten him out and I feel him stop moving around like crazy, I get to that same tripod and I pummel a butterfly hook like so. Now, once I pummel my butterfly hook, watch my right leg. I pummel and I start tripoding up. And from here, I think about tippy-toeing my right knee to my own right elbow. And now we play a simple game between bringing my shin over his and extending and going into butterfly mount, or get a strong hook, sticky hook on my hamstring higher. Or if I can't find the leg, I bring my knee to my elbow and I start driving his knees down together, like so. Okay, and my whole thing is trying to use my shin right on the outside of his leg, like so that I can pin them together and start to fight with my feet. So again, we're in half butterfly. He sits up for an underhook. I just shoot on in, and remember, I move my head over his elbow. So now when he tries to use that underhook, it's challenging. And now I lock, pull him in, flatten him out. As I flatten him out, if I ever feel that explosion, I just curl. Once I feel him stop moving, I tripod, bring my own hook, and I free my right leg. So now he just has a hook. Now from here I start tippy-toeing, looser hook. From here I first see if I can find the hook and extend. Knee chest. Now if I feel like I can't find the hook, I bring my own knee to my elbow, and now I try to use my shin over his thigh. And now I fold his two legs and can start either mounting or passing away from my underhook side like so. Okay, let's give that one a shot. 3, 2, 1.